broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Houston, Texas. It's time for Houston Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Hello, Houston. Trisha Stetzel here, bringing you another episode of Houston Business Radio. I have the most amazing opportunity to talk to Andre Paradis today, who is a relationship and NLP coach and president CEO of Project Equinox. Andre, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Good to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on. So first, tell us who Andre is.
Andre was an ex-professional dancer, kind of traveled the world. Michael Jackson, Prince, Paula Abdul. I was really made it to the top. That was a fantastic journey. Ended up starting a family, which got me grounded. I didn't want to travel the world and not be present. So stage 2 of my life was a auto repair shop in Los Angeles. I'm a car freak. So that was stage 2 of my life. But that allowed me to stay grounded, be home with my family. The business was 6 minutes from my house, and the kids' school was 2 blocks away. So I set it up so both my wife and I would at every recital, every parade, every because I didn't have that as a kid, right? So that was important for me to set it up that way. But I've been in personal development my whole life, and I took a workshop in 2006 called Understanding Women, completely random. It was a gift. I wasn't looking for any of this. And at the time, I'm married with 2 little kids. We're doing great. But I realized in that workshop that I knew nothing about women, which scared the life out of me. Because my siblings are divorced and married, like 3, and one's on 4. I have my family. I have a baby and a toddler. We're doing great. But I realized I knew nothing about women in that special workshop, which then I realized that means I know nothing about my wife. And to me, that liability was insane. Like it worried me. And I thought I didn't want to be a statistic because I didn't know. Now I'm a curious guy. I want to know everything. I'm just my brain. So after that workshop, I ended up taking all their workshop, the company that was providing. And, after you pay for all the workshops, I think it was 11 of them. After paying for the workshops and attending, you get to come back and assist and be in the space, right? And I was in a workshop every freaking weekend because it was the content. It was so much more. Every time it was more. And even the same workshop, the teacher would teach us differently. The question would be different. The answer would be, oh, wow. And the more I learned, the more I realized I didn't know anything. So that's how this whole thing started. 2006, 2009, I started Project Equinox. And the business exploded because there's a lot of confusion out there. So much so that I had to sell my other business. It was like, it completely took me over. So that's how we get to be here.
Okay. Now you got to dig into Project Equinox. What does that mean to you?
Well, the equinox is the perfect balance between day and night, right? So I thought masculine and feminine, the dance, I thought it was clever. So equinox, a friend of mine came up with this and he goes, dude, it's perfect. I'm like, I like it. So
yeah. All right. And now you're out spreading the word. You are talking to everyone about this topic. And what is the topic?
The dance of relationships, I call it. If you look behind me, like I'm going to show you this. This is my wife and I ballroom dancing.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So my life was started as a dancer. I was a ballroom dancer into a commercial jazz dancer, but my wife's also a ballerina. So we met dancing, and the metaphors for dancing and relationships are exquisite. So I use that in my teachings to understand how to dance together, because there's no, the typical ballroom, frame. It is 2 entities that become one. A relationship and marriage is 2 becoming one under God, if you're that person. But there's something magical about this. How do we, and the difficulties I see is that men and women are completely different, as you know. Not a little bit, completely different. So often it's difficult to become one when each is thinking the other one's misbehaving, right? Women are like heart-driven, feeling-driven. Men are head-driven, logic-driven. And often we collide because women will say men are insensitive, they're cold, they're distant, they give you the one-word answer, they don't want to share their lives with us. Well, no, that's being masculine and stoic. That's kind of the standard, right? This is what our brains go to. Now, there's a way to pull us into you differently, but if you leave us alone, we're in our heads, right? So women think we're shallow, disconnected, selfish, self-centered. That's not it. I'm up in my head. That's how we survive as a species. But and on the other side, men will say, "I don't know. I she takes everything personally. It's not what I said. That's not what I meant. I never said that. I never, So, and then we often think you're a little crazy. So men think we're crazy. Women think men are shallow, and that's the polarity of us. But however, the polarity is essential for us to come together. It's the complementary of that works, right? So we're not equals, we're equally important, but as human beings, we're completely different, just like our genitals, complete opposite, but made to fit. Our personalities, our yin yang is made to fit. So most people are struggling with this because there's so much equality stuff out there that we're trying to make the other person like us. And that's what doesn't work. Anyway, you got me going.
I know. No, I love it. And it's a lot. We talked about this before we started recording. Everything that comes out of your mouth is based on science, right? This is not your opinion. It's actually truth. So I'd like to back up just a little bit because I introduced you as a relationship and NLP coach. Not everyone may understand what NLP is. So can you define that?
Yeah, NLP stands for neuro-linguistic programming. And I think it should be called neuro-linguistic reprogramming because that's what I do with my clients. It's like, and this is psychology part of my work. Human beings are very interesting. And when I get to heaven, we're going to have a conversation about that design because that's kind of unfair and not cool. I'm just saying it's not cool. It's not cool. So what happened is when you're born, your computer is blank, right? If you look at your brain as a computer hard drive, it's blank. And within the first years of life, we have no thoughts. We only have feelings. That's how babies and toddlers, express themselves. As we get to start learning to speak at the age of 3-ish, by the age of 5, this is fascinating to me. Like this the stuff. By the age of 5, this is when our consciousness come online. Peak, like when your thoughts and your feeling can meet.
Okay.
Like boom. So most of us at 5 years old, some it's a little bit earlier, 4, some is 6, kind of realize the world that they live in. Right. And if you weren't loved right, if your family system is off, we think it's us. We take it personally. And then again, it's the first belief on the hard drive. So if you believe that you're not lovable, there's something wrong with you as a woman, then it becomes your computer imprint number 1 that's just driving the computer. Even if you add some apps and anything, books and the computer drive is a belief is in place. And so then if you think you're not lovable, from that 5-year-old, as a 7-year-old, as a 9-year-old, as 11-year-old, into adulthood, you're going to find yourself attracting people who will confirm that for you. That's a terrible design, but that's how it is. So mine as a kid was, I don't belong here. I was an accident. My mother didn't want me. I was born with that knowing. So I'm a mistake. I'm not supposed to be here. So I actually didn't think I was going to be here for very long because everything was wrong. Right. But my belief, it's a conclusion. It's not the truth. It's a conclusion. This is what killed us. It's a conclusion by our circumstances. When we put it all together, consciousness and feelings come together. Belief system number 1. So I ended up literally living a life of struggle because I'm not supposed to be here. And so every encounter, every job, every relationship was, why are you here? Like discarded, crazy stuff until I fix myself. NLP does that. So NLP is a way to take the trauma of your childhood, right, and literally just throw it off your nervous system. It sounds like it's so efficient, effective. It's quick. It's not 3-5 years on the couch. It's 45-minute sessions times half a dozen, and poof, clear. So, and the reason why it's so, I'm such a believer because I cannot get anybody in a healthy relationship until we clean up that baggage, your childhood stuff that kind of led to a life of bad relationships in every way. So clean that up, and then you actually get to think for yourself, to not be driven by this false belief. And then what's the dream? Let's go for the dream. Anyway, so there it is. Woo!
I love it. Okay. Woo! That's a great start. So first question, hardest one.
Yes.
What makes a love relationship last?
The dance. You have to learn to dance. And, back in the days for millennia, the men and women's role were very obvious. Like in order to survive as a species, men were doing the outside, I call it dirty work outside, when the women did the inner, right, the interior work more, as in taking care of the children and the food and the very, like, so hunter gatherer, that was a survival mechanism. We didn't make it otherwise. A woman in the world alone was dead, can't survive by herself. So they needed men to protect them, but also to provide for them. Men would go hunting, come back and bring the food, plop it down and go, so you ladies take care of that, please. We're going to sit by the fire and talk about how little Johnny almost lost his arm. It was great. It was funny as hell. And men sit around the fire, and the woman's like, I say, thank you for the hunting. We'll take care of the food. And the men recover, because men need to recover in order to do it again the next day. Right? So that is nature at its best. So what's happening in our culture is we decided that that's old school, is honest, not important, or that we lost the depth of why that works so well. And so we talk about 50-50, go girl, boss babe, that's all fine. Right. And then we like shame men out of being masculine because they're toxic and dangerous. Well, no, that the boys are dangerous, and that's a whole different topic. There's different types of men, right? The boys are the ones that are dangerous and toxic. Those are the rapists, the killer, the con man, right? Men are not like this. Men provide, protect, cherish, give, support, lead. They put their arms around their family and protect it all. And instinctually, no manipulation needed. We lost track of that. So what's happening that I see where people struggle is men are still, a man's role in a culture is not changed one bit. In order for a man to be respected by women, other men, and the culture, they have to get their lives together. They have to conquer something. They have to go fight for something, build something that's relevant, makes him feel relevant. That's difficult. The more respect he gets, right? Self-respect and respect from the world. And we go, wow, look at him go. He's amazing. That was like good. Where'd he go? So men are still expected to be traditional that way. That's very traditional roles. So men are expected to still be traditional, provide, protect, cherish, give, support, pay. Now I have no problem with pay. That's part of my makeup. I will kill myself to make money to keep my family in comfortable state. That's no problem with that at all, right? As my wife takes care of the inside world more, because we do both, but she does the inside world more. The yin yang of that is beautiful. She gets to be with my kids when they were little, right? She gets to be a mother. She gets to be, oh my goodness, she gets to work less because I do the brunt of the big work. So we lost track of all of this. So again, men are still expected to be traditional nowadays. Our role is not changed, but women have been taught to not be traditional and or to refuse to be traditional. So that's the problem. We stop understanding the dance. And the modern way is women masculine, men feminine. And that's the worst that's ever happened to culture. Look what's out there. So I could do this all day long. You got me going.
All right. No, I'd really like to understand how this plays out in the workplace, right? And I'm not talking about building relationships and falling in love in the workplace, but because women have assumed these different roles or been taught to take on these different roles or avoid the other role, things are different in the workplace. Yeah. So let's talk about that.
Hold on. It's funny you say this because I just pulled something that I was working on. Woo! Okay, just in case as a backup. It's so cool. So, well, the thing is, again, the same issues, the same problems that we face in relationship, men and women, in close relationships, the same thing happens at work. Women are more emotionally driven. It's just a fact. There's nothing wrong with that. Men are more logically driven. That's just a fact, right? So, but when you consider, we're going to go there. Let's go there.
Let's go there.
So if you consider that, it's simple to say is men have two worlds and women have one world. And let me explain really quickly. So there's two, like I am two people. There's me at work and me at home.
Okay.
Right? There's me at work, the conqueror, the fighter, the warrior, the busting every door down. Like I'm an animal, right? But not at home. So at home, you get daddy energy, you get husband energy, you get pull back energy, you get community energy, right? Same man, two different energies, right? You ladies have one world.
Okay.
It's all connected. It's all together. It's all of us. It's sweet. It's want to be pleasing and pleasant, right? And so in that, there's a lot of talking because that's how you ladies connect. And you do this to us at work, and we look at you like, why are you talking? Get to the point. You know what I mean? So the same thing you do to your husband when he comes home and he's tired, but you want to connect with him by talking. Often you'll see him glaze over and you feel, oh, he doesn't care, doesn't love me because he doesn't want me. No, he's tired. He's tired, right? So not understanding our very basic kind of instinct and drives as opposites will have us collide. So at work, women in bringing all, so I'll give you an example, right? If I'm working with my buddy John, and we're at work, let's say, right? And I go, dude, so I need this on my desk by 4:00, please. Is a surgeon. Got it? Got it. Done. Right? Now, if Susie brings John the paper, she go, hi, how you doing? What? Good. What's up? They're like, oh my goodness. So how was your weekend? Because didn't you guys go out of town with little Johnny? Is he okay? By the way, I know he was sick last week, right? Because and how about little Lillian? How's she doing? She's such a darling. And he's looking at her like, what the are you talking about? What are you doing? Why are you talking? Right? But this is a woman bringing the personal connection, because this is how you connect. You have to connect first before you get to the point. You have to connect first. Your connection often will have you go in circles and not even get to a point, just because the point is the connection. But at work, it kind of inappropriate, right? So men will get frustrated, men will get irritated. Then you go, he doesn't like me, he doesn't want to hear from me, or he doesn't. If she's in position of power, right? She's a manager. She's going to think he doesn't respect me. Oh, right? And now often you get resistance. Can you get to the point? Why? What do you want? Now, he's got the tone. So now he's actually, again, being disrespectful and rude, right? So we have to write him up. So that's what's difficult, because at work, the same dynamic we don't understand, that we're operating in different places. And then women joining us in the workforce now want us to adapt to their way because it's more comfortable. And often men will go, really? Like, so I want to say something terrible. Are you ready? This is terrible. Are you ready?
Go for it.
It's just so uncool. But they'll get triggered. Let me explain it. I think you'll understand it right away as soon as I say it. Right? Men naturally, instinctively know how to work together. Again, because we get to the point when we're working side by side, we don't speak. We like hunters side by side. We get it done. Right? There's a hierarchy to us. We need somebody to lead us. And the guy underneath, and everybody knows their place. It's like a football team, right? Everybody's got their position, they know exactly what to do. And there's a coach. That's natural masculinity. So men know how to work together instinctively. It just works, right? You put 10 men in a prison jail at 24 hours. By the time you open the door 24 hours later, there's a whole hierarchy that took place. That actually lines up with their testosterone, by the way. It's freaking amazing. It's nature. It's beautiful. So when you put women in the workforce with men, now we have to be sensitive. We have to be, we have to what's the word? We have to be sweet and kind and connected. And right, there's a lot of feelings all of a sudden, which we don't know what to do with. And it's irrelevant for productivity. Right. So we ended up with HR. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying this is the terrible thing I'm going to say. If we remove women from the workforce or to work with men, HR goes away.
Interesting.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So my next question for you is, I do a lot of work with assessments. So DISC, drivers, PQ, EQ, you name it. Do you think, as you were describing people, generally speaking, men and women, do you think there are different versions of these human beings that they've learned something differently, or they've been raised a different way, so they're driven by something different, or they have better EQ or higher positive intelligence? Does that play in this space as well?
For sure. And I should have said that up front, right? Like to have these conversations, you have to allow huge generalizations.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
There's no such thing as all men and all women. There's no such thing. It's ridiculous. However, there is a norm. right? Which is typically about 80-20. Everything in life has an 80-20 rule, right? There's 80% that's normal. The other one, a hybrid, I call them, like, or different, or right? So in this world of men and women, even though women are more emotional and men are more logical, the big generalizations, there's all the mix in between, because there are women who actually understand man's world, that he's different at work, that he's different at home, and do not bring their you know what I mean? They know how to do this. And with the women who are really good at managing or management position kind of instinctively know this. I'm going to say it. Typically, they have fathers and brothers.
Okay.
Because fathers and brothers will teach a woman about accountability and get to the point and what's appropriate or not, right? If she was raised by a mother only and daughters and sisters, I have them as client, that doesn't show up on the radar. It's not, so they pull that feminine card because that's how they drive. So there is a huge amount of flex, but the rule, the norm is 80%, 80-20, right? And ultimately, we know that we both have masculine and feminine within us. So it's even the balance within ourselves and how we show up in the world, in relationships and at work, that kind of differentiates you, me from this one, that one, and that one. So I have to be, as a man, I'm a leader. If I'm going to lead my wife and my family in a dance, I have to lead.
Yeah.
But like the dance, if I have to lead them, my wife, with sensitivities. Otherwise, I could bully her. I could crank her. I could break her arm. You understand? So if I'm a bully only without sensitivities, yin yang, masculine and feminine within me, in order for her to let me want to dance with me, for her to want to dance with me, she has to, and be vulnerable to my leadership, she has to kind of be comfortable with me and trust that I'm not going to hurt her. So I have to lead for her to know, to be able to get on the horse with me and we get to dance. I have to be sensitive to her. I have to be aware of her. I have to respond to, like, all the signaling within the fingers without words. There's a huge amount of finesse in that. That's my feminine. On the other side, she gets to release and let go to be in her feminine, but she's controlling her body. She's doing everything I'm doing backwards in a dress and high heels. That's not easier. It's different. And a lot of that is her masculine having to hold her space and be able to, to be able to take care of her part. But in that, when she's vulnerable, she trusts me because she knows I'm not going to hurt her and I'm not going to spin her into a wall or a table, right? Or another couple, that she can just completely go of control, surrender control completely.
Yeah.
The light inside of her comes on. She gets to be present in the moment, completely feminine. And she shines with this beautiful, like, glorious feminine glow. It gives me goosebumps. And no one's looking at me. They're all looking at her. Like, she gets the glory of just being in a pure feminine because she could be in the flow and let me lead and trust. And she has to control nothing. She has to think about nothing. She completely gets the flow, which is the ultimate feminine. That's the beauty. That's the relationship. That's men and women.
The dance. Ooh. I love that. Okay. So if people are already interested in connecting with you, what's the best way to find you?
Oh, all right. So, and also I have 2 gifts for you listeners.
What?
If you want, I have 2 gifts.
Okay. It's exciting.
I think so. But again, you and I talked about this. My God mission is to spread this to the masses. Everyone's confused. It's difficult. Women are hurt and men are lonely and vice versa. Right. Yeah. And I do a lot of podcasts. I'm just trying to spread the hope. There is hope. There's a modern way to do classical relationships or versions. There's a modern way to do this that works long term. Dude, there's hope. Let's do it. Except out there, you don't get that. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I do a lot of podcasts for that reason, to kind of open the channels and get people kind of hopeful. And I notice when I do podcasts, I do many a week. There's 2 types of listeners. So I have 2 gifts, if that's okay.
Okay.
And we let the listeners qualify themselves. So if people that show up, the first type typically are information seekers. They're just trying to poke around at this masculine and feminine stuff people keep talking about. I don't get it. I'm a girl. Right, I'm a girl. What's the problem? So, if you're an information seeker, I'm going to send you directly to my email. This is my personal email. You go to Andre Coaching, @gmail. Andre, Andre, coaching, COACHING, the number one @gmail. In the subject box, write Irresistible Book. This is for the ladies. I will send you a copy of my. I sell this on my website. This called, are you ready? Get this. It's called The 5 Feminine Qualities High Value Men Find Absolutely Irresistible. Ladies, this is my work with men. I do a lot of men's work. This is man speaking. It's 30 pages. It's a workbook. You get to fill it in with your thoughts and your understanding of things.
Okay.
Like I said, just email me, Andre Coaching 1, Irresistible Book. Boom, I'll send you a digital version of it. It's good. It's good. It's a gift. So information seekers, there you go. The other type of listeners that I notice are people who kind of go, uh-oh, I get it. Yep. Like it resonates. Like this guy's got something, right? So NLP, super, super intriguing for people a lot. So if you're a action taker, right? Takes a little courage, but it's kind of temperamentally typically. If you're an action taker, Andre Coaching 1, in the subject box, write talk now. I'll send you my calendar link. You find a place that's open, and you and I are gonna have a conversation for an hour or so about, people call and set up appointments like, because something is not working. They find themselves in a loop. That's the loop I'm talking about from the beginning, right? That that loop of childhood that we continue to prove as adults. So in 15 minutes, we find out what the loop is. Because it's simple, right? And then when you understand that there's nothing wrong with you, because a lot of people come at me with, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? There's something wrong with me, right? Because I always attract the same and it's never going anywhere and I'm hurt. I'm feeling abandoned and alone. We find the loop, and then when you understand there's nothing wrong with you, you're just a product of your past and the false belief you create about that, we could clear it, NLP. And then from there, what's the dream? What's the dream? Marriage and kids if you're younger, right? If you're older, like it's long-term relationships, companionship for the rest of your life. Yes. And then I'll tell you, there's different ways to work with me to jump in. There's many, many different ways. So, and then it's up to you. But for some people, just that call changes their lives because they kind of understand they're not broken. Liberation. So those are my gifts.
That is very liberating. Okay, I'm not done with you. I still have some more questions.
Okay. Beautiful.
I have a lot of conversations around women in the workplace and how many of us, particularly in my generation, we'll just call it X-Geners, right? That a particular generation where women didn't have women friends in the business place, right? Because we were all vying for the same position. We were trying to be very masculine. Let's talk about that. Like when I bring that up, I see you, right? You're like, okay, I got to get ready for this. What are your thoughts around that? Because there's so many conversations that I have with women just like me having the same conversation.
Okay. So again, not sexy, just nature, right? But sometimes nature is ugly because it's about survival, right? But so as much as men are competitive with each other, right? Instinct and history has taught us to work together. We work together, everyone survives, right? Women competing for a man, typically, or for the attention of men, to protection of men, compete with each other. In the, if you're looking at my man, I want to kill you. I'm going to push you to the tiger myself. I'll watch him eat you and smile. Right? Men can't do that.
Yeah.
Just against the survival instinct, right? So at work, when competition and getting ahead and survival is on the radar of ladies at work, which is masculine, that mechanism kicks in 100. And all of a sudden, like women will do what women do when they are competing or trying to get ahead is men use their fists. That's how men resolve problems. Women use their mouths. So all of a sudden we have gossip, reputation destruction, the smile on her face, stab her in the back when she turns around. Right. So this is kind of how you fight. So at work with a bunch of women on the same floor, often it's that tension of she's trying to get on top of me, she's trying to get my job. Let me just right. And then all this stuff kind of takes place, which is again, something that the masculine at work doesn't understand. Like why is this an issue? You know what I mean? Why is the problem? No, okay, HR again, really? Like, how do we get here? You see it?
Yeah, I do. So what would be where do we start, Andre? So I'm a pretty smart person, and
You
I
are.
realized that that type of environment wasn't good for me. So I've removed myself from that environment. I have my own business. I run my own business. I do my own thing. I'm really happy with what I do, which is nurture others. And I've also started to build these groups of women that I can have conversations with, right? That I didn't have in my past life. So
Right.
I'm doing those things, but what are other things that you think we should be doing as a society to get back to being where we're supposed to be?
Well, I mean, supposed to be, right? According to nature. And again, if you go against nature, you could go against nature all day long, men and women, feminine man, masculine
Yeah.
women. It's against nature, but eventually it'll bite you in the butt.
Mhm.
Nature will win, and it's going to cost you something that, excuse me, you don't want to pay for. I promise you. I could tell you stories. So I'm not going to go there. But again, if you go more in the flow of nature and understand each other. So I call it gender intelligence.
Okay.
Right? So as a man, if you want, women will say stuff like, I need so little. How come you can't give me what I need? I'm da 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 da. Like these, and men don't understand what that means because men quantify everything.
Mhm.
This is our instinct, right? Big action, big rewards, big work, big money, right? Big buffalo down. We get to eat big for a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So men quantify. This is instinct, naturally everything. So when you say I need so little, like what the hell? Like, so I have to teach men that part, right? So it's understanding each other's instinct that is essential. Because if we talk about equality, which is equal rights, equal pay, of course, but what happened is now it's become an equal being. Men and women are supposed to be the same. This is where everything falls apart because women are trying to make men like women, and men are like, why are everything like this? Be more logical. And now we're fighting again. So gender intelligence is if you're a man, walk yourself over the bridge into women world and you learn. This is what I teach. Learn what motivates a woman, why they do what they do. Right, her instinct. When you understand her instinct, you understand why she takes things personally. She's not crazy. She's a girl. It's beautiful, but you have to understand. As opposed to shaking your head. Oh, that's what's going on over there. This is what I heard in me that workshop, right? Like, oh, that's what that is. Oh, that's how this works. Wait, and you just do it. And all of a sudden she's lovely, she's warm, she likes you, she's feminine, she wants to be close. You get all the goodies,
Yeah.
understanding what she instinctively needs. And same thing with the ladies. If you cross the bridge into man world and understand what motivates a man, why we're stoic, why we give you the word answer. There's a bunch of good reasons for this. It's a lot of instinct and a lot of training from society and our parents and our our lifestyle, her childhood. So get this: when women understand man more, right? When you understand really our instinct, this is fantastic. 50% of everything you think personally falls.
Hmm.
50% of everything you think personally with man. I mean, your husband, your boyfriend, your boss, your brothers, all man on the ground. Because you go, oh, look, he's just okay. And then when you know how to feed his instinct,
Uh-huh.
right? Protect, cherish, give, support, love, support, protect, blah, blah. They'll give you everything. The men will give you the world if you get, provide what he needs instinctively to his nervous system, to his psyche, to his body. Like it's not that hard. It's just we don't know. So we have to learn about each other. And then we get to walk on the bridge from both sides in the middle of the bridge where we actually have some understandings, some tools, some trainings, and start dancing. And it takes practice because on the middle of the bridge, it's awkward because we're so different. We step on each other's toes, but then it gets a little smoother and then we start communicating and using our tools, right? Just like dancing. And eventually you get the flow of things. And the more you practice, the easier it gets. It's all the communications, right? You see how beautiful that is? So I always say modern relationships are like ballroom dancing. You cannot become a ballroom dancing couple unless you learn. You have to be taught this now. Back in the days, there was masculine and feminine. That was it. You made babies and you went to work. That's not the way it is anymore. So how do we do this in a culture, in a new culture? It's tricky. But if you want this, it's actually quite beautifully easy. Just
Yeah.
say,
It is, and relationship take work, right? They just
well,
do.
just understanding the other side is essential. You have to start there and start making each other wrong for not being the same as you, right? Like it's not, that's the exact opposite of what works.
This has been a fantastic conversation. I'd love for you to share how long you've been with your wife.
32 years.
32 years. So I've
2
been with my
kids.
husband for 34. I think
34. Okay, you win. You
Uh,
win.
No, I'm not winning.
You are.
I'm trying to win.
I'm a boy. You win.
Learning.
I'm a boy. You win.
Okay, I win.
There. Thank you.
I love it. There's so much to learn about this topic. I would love to have you back on the show so that we
Absolutely.
can dive into some of these areas deeper. I really wanted to focus on the workplace today because I think that that's a great place for us to start to have this conversation
Yeah.
and then bring it into our own personal relationships, which some of us are better at playing the dance or doing the dance, right, than others. And I think
Yep.
there's so many people out there who want to learn how to do the dance. So thank you so much for being on. Folks, listeners, if you didn't catch it, I'm going to put it in the show notes as well. But Andre is offering two things. One, if you're just an information seeker, you're going to send an email to Andre. It's andrecoaching1@gmail.com. You're going to put in the subject line, irresistible book, and he's going to send you that amazing book that he told us about, which is really amazing. If you're an action taker, send the same to the same email address, andrecoaching1@gmail.com, and put in the subject line, talk now. Andre, thank you for being so kind to my guest today. It was a pleasure having you on.
Same here. Trisha, I do a lot of these. And this is like the funnest this month, I want to say.
I told you.
You did.
I win.
You did. And you win again. That's 2 for you.
Yes.
If I had a trophy, I would give it to you.
Oh,
Trophy.
good. I like trophies.
Yes.
Thank you so much again, Andre.
Absolutely.
Andre Paradis, thank you for being on my show today. That's all the time we have for today's show. Join us next time for another exciting episode of Houston Business Radio. Until then, stay tuned, stay inspired, and keep thriving in the Houston business community.